In just a second, bud. I'm going to set this up. We should be live.
Sounds good.
I'm going to make sure everybody knows to tune in. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Dad Talk today. We're not here for a show today. I'm here with Alec Larson, and we're trying to get support for a story that's going down. Alec, I am going to try my best to describe this as good as I can. If you hear something that like I might have not been right on, you can stop me at any time. But back in December of 2019, Sophia Larson, which is Alec's daughter, she was 5 years old. She was gave what they thought was water, and it actually turned out to be bongwater that crystal meth had been smoked out of. And there was still residue and substance inside of this, which in turn gave Sophia a heart attack, and she lost her life last year. And what we're going to talk about today is some of the stuff that went down and ask you for your support. Alec has made a petition online to ask for help for Sophia. Right now, I'm going to show you guys. 1 second. Right now, this is the petition. You can go to change.org. I put this in the description here on Dad Talk. And I'm going to ask you guys to repost this with hashtag justice for Sophia. He has 13,917 signatures right now. We want to ask, let's get this up into the hundreds of thousands because it's very important. This week, there will be trials going down for two. There was 3 people involved. Trials, 2 of them will be going down today. And then on the 26th, the mother will be up for trial. I think it's very important to note in this. I've talked to Alec. He was a little worried about how he wrote this up because he did this in the heat of the moment. But let me tell you something, guys. You know, if this was just on here talking about parental alienation and stuff like that, and we was mad about child support, that's one thing. We are talking about the death of a little girl. So this is a righteous anger. You have the right to be angry right now, and I think any father in your situation would have that. So we ask that you pass this petition around, and let's help this man get some support. So Alec, it's a hard thing to do, but I mean, how you doing today, my man?
Definitely day by day, but I'm hanging in here.
Brother, I can only imagine. So this is something that's going on. Alec is 23 years old. From what I was picking up, you were actually trying to go for custody.
I was creating a case. I hadn't really made moves yet. I was trying to make sure my case was solid before I made moves, and needed to get a lawyer as well, and working on getting that sort of money stacked up to have somebody that was ready to go to court with me once my case was solid.
Well, brother, as an alienated father that hasn't seen his daughter in a year and a half, trust me, I understand. It's a process, and you want to make sure you've got what you need before you go and do this. But this is something that can happen to anybody. That's, talking to you brother to brother right now. Don't you ever second guess yourself or beat yourself up over what has went down, because there's many people that could be, I mean, any of us could go through this set of circumstances. You thought she was with her mother, which should have been, something that you should be able to lay your head down at night and rest easy with. But guys, we're going to try to give you a little bit of details in this case. Alec, take me back to this night. And from what you've been told, we're not going to be mentioning names here, guys, but she gave the bottle what they thought was water. Am I right?
That's from my understanding. Either that or it was left in an area that she was able to grab it herself and take a drink of. There's two different sides on the affidavit. But yes, it was given to her or left in an area where it was easy enough for her to grab it, you know. And that's where it all started.
So from what you're told, again, we know that you wasn't there. So everything that you've been told is, the stories that you've been gave. But they noticed something was wrong. She was really energetic weekday night, and they tried to get her to sleep it off.
Yeah, from what I was told, they tried to give her some milk and swaddle her in a blanket and put her to bed. And I believe it worked for a short amount of time, but then she woke up really jittery and not making sense with her words and that sort of stuff.
Now, when we're talking about something as serious as crystal meth, okay, you're going to need a little bit more than milk. And I don't care how paranoid you are, guys. This is also a story of addiction and how bad addiction can get and the consequences from it. But you know that your child has ingested crystal meth. I don't care if you're on drugs or not. You should know I need to get them to the hospital. The only thing I could that could make sense of this is they was afraid you get in custody or something bad happening. But you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. And there's consequences, for these actions. I think one of the more disturbing pieces of information that you gave me is she woke up having nightmares and she was begging to call you.
Yeah, that's what I was told the morning after we had left the hospital, that she had a bad dream, had a nightmare, and she wanted to talk to me, and that they needed to get a hold of me. Basically, there was a voice recording of her that I was shown the next day of her asking for me, that she wanted to call Dad and she missed Dad, and she was only around these individuals for 2 days out of the week. Most of the time, I mean, there was an occasional 3 days out of the week or here or there, but for the most part, she was with me 5 days out of the week, so it wasn't common that she was so upset and missing me. She enjoyed her 2 days with these individuals. I would talk to her every night, but it wasn't, it was, I love you and good night. Have a good day at school. Or I'd ask her how her day at school was. It was never, I miss you, Dad. I want to come to you, Dad. It was, so just hearing that was weird to me, that's, she enjoyed her time with those individuals. So she cherished it. She wasn't ready to come back to me sometimes,
She was a sweet little
she didn't
girl.
have that.
Yeah, get it, man. It was during this time, I think you said she started seeing things from what you was told. She was hallucinating.
Yeah, she started hallucinating and seeing, from what she said, monsters and demons. And this was after she was awake and real jittery and her speech wasn't making any sense. So they started to try and exorcise the demons from her by reading Bible verses and shouting them at her and trying to bring the demons out of her, apparently, is what, from my understanding.
It's the thing, your child has ingested crystal methamphetamine, but we're going to read Bible verses and try to exorcise the demons out of you. I'm trying to find a little bit of compassion here because I know things can happen, man, but this story is very layered. And one of the things that we're wanting to talk to you guys about and why this is so serious right now is the same time that the alleged went to jail, they also got out on bond. So, and it took 2 months, 2 months, a simple call to 911. How does that make you feel, Alec, knowing that they went to, okay, before I get to that, so after all this is going on and they tried to exorcise the demons, she was hallucinating. She had begged to call you. They tried to get her to sleep it off. She basically, what we would consider, died. So their attempt was, from what we've been told, allegedly, take her to the neighbors and hook her up to their oxygen.
Correct.
Correct.
They laid her on the bed and put an oxygen mask on her and began CPR for who knows how long before they finally went to the hospital.
So at that point in time, I think it would be pretty, confident to say that it had probably already ran its course. How does it make you feel as a father? I mean, I can only imagine what it makes you feel to know this happened to your daughter, but how does it make you feel as a father to know a simple call to 911 probably could have saved your daughter's life?
That's the part that tears me up. It's ridiculous. And like you had said, I don't care how deep the addiction is or how high you are or what it's on, when that's your child, that or a child, even at any matter, even if that, as a father, if that wasn't my child, I would have made the decision to make that phone call either way. Just being a father and knowing that, like, what you would do for your own children, whether that was my child or not, that would have been the very first thing. And if I would have received backlash for that from them, I would have grabbed the child myself and drove it to the hospital, I don't understand it. I still can't wrap my head around that part. All the individuals involved were parents, our parents, that should have been their first decision, was to save that child. And I don't understand how it wasn't. It was a 3 to 4 hour time period from the time she ingested the methamphetamine to the time that her heart failed. That is a lot of time and a lot of stuff going on between that time period to make you decide, all right, this isn't something to sleep off. This is something we need to seek medical attention for. There's too much time for somebody to not change their mind and finally decide to do the right thing. It doesn't make any sense to me.
I'm going to tell you, brother, it's hard to make sense out of things that just don't make sense. None of this makes any sense. And as the father to 4 beautiful little girls and stepdad to 2 other children, my heart is grieving for you. And I know that, like I said, those emotions got to be very hard to comprehend right now. I'm sure it's like you're in a fog. But what we would like to do right now is get you some support to make sure that justice is served and get justice for Sophia. I know you also said as well, now you had to attend the funeral with these individuals standing right beside you. Now, I mean, what is that process like?
I mean, I was able to keep 2 of the individuals away through the help of the funeral home and family members. But one individual, I had no choice. I had to pick a coffin. I had to pick an outfit for my daughter's viewing. I had to go through a 2-day viewing with her. I dug the grave myself the day before we buried her, which was also the second day of the viewing. Dug the grave and then went to the viewing with this individual, went through the whole church, the burial, and finally at that point I was able to cut my ties with her, entirely. I couldn't before because I had no choice. I had to be a part of my daughter's funeral. And and this individual wasn't going to stay away and wasn't locked up for her wrongdoing yet. So I had no, I was very quiet. I did a lot of tensing up, I was very tense after I had to stay quiet and stay away. I didn't even feel comfortable, or didn't even know if I could control myself speaking at my daughter's own service, standing next to the other individual. So I chose not to, and I've heard quite a bit of criticism for that, but that was before anybody knew the truth. This was the 2 weeks following my daughter's death. Nobody knew the truth until January 31st when Fox 31 News aired it, or no, January 30th when the 3 individuals were finally arrested and it was aired on the news. And then people got the reality of what had happened and realized why I was acting the way that I was. I was trying to keep my composure. I was trying to make sure I didn't lash out or lose control of my emotions in a time that was the last bit that I had for my daughter.
All right, Alec, I know that our first conversation was just a couple of days ago, and you might not know me so well, dude, but I got to shoot really quick. You was talking about receiving criticism, and I want to speak to those critics right now. You've got a 23-year-old father that was just learning what it's like to be a father. 5 years, he's finding out about the death of his daughter from this horrific accident. 4 hours that they waited and exorcised demons, hooked her up to oxygen, gave her milk, swaddled her, that they could have called 911. And he is having a problem at a funeral, standing next to a person that could have been responsible, didn't know if he could speak. You know what, dude? To hell with all of them, to be honest with you. Like, how dare you judge somebody? And until you're sitting in that father's shoes right here and knowing what's going up through his head, like, dude, I've got so much respect for you to even be talking right now, and I can tell, there's coping mechanisms going on there, which everybody would go through. But if you're one of those critics right now, you're talking to a young man again right here, like, shame on you. And I'll tell you what really kind of gets under my skin right now. You are telling me that nobody actually did any time behind bars until 2 months later. I think it was January 30th.
And they only did like 4 or 5 hours behind bars, I believe. Before they were back out the same day that they were arrested. And I've seen after they were arrested their first time, I've seen them driving around and in public and acting like nothing has happened.
I'm just going to be honest.
If you see the one individual, they found her at the cemetery. There's no remorse in her eyes in that video. She put a cigarette out on the snow on my daughter's grave there in the interview with Fox 31 Denver. There's no remorse from any of these individuals. It's ridiculous to me. I don't understand it.
I'm just going to be completely honest with you. And that's the reason we're doing stuff. That's the reason Dad Talk exists. I have to believe that had this been on the other side of the coin, this had been you that had done that, you would be under the jail right now, Alec. You would. And it's very evident. We reported a case like this earlier last year where Vanderhagen spoke out against the judge, that he told this judge, if you don't give me custody of my son, he will die. They didn't do it. A couple of weeks later, his son died. He speaks out about it. He ends up going to jail with a bond of $500,000. And that's what it's like when it's on the other side. So I'm telling you, my man, any of that denial, questioning yourself, could I done something? Dude, we know it's a battle, and that's the reason we've got to get awareness out there, because had she been with Dad, this probably would not have happened. this probably would not
Guaranteed
have
it wouldn't.
happened.
Yeah.
And we
Guaranteed.
we need to get some resources for our guys out there, because I'm going to tell you, man, I mean, a lot of times society tells us that we've just got to be tough, we've got to be strong, we can't have emotions. Like, dude, any emotions you got right now, I mean, you deserve to be angry. You've got a righteous anger right now. I would say don't let it consume you. But guys, again, in that link right there is, and I'm going to post it again right here. Okay. This is the petition. We need as many signatures as possible. I want you to spread this like you've never spread anything before. Okay. Hashtag justice for Sophia. Put that down there and let's get as many signatures as we can. I don't care what organization you're with, what group, what side of the aisle you're on. We're talking about getting justice for this father with his daughter. The part that just really, really grinds my gears right now is it could have been prevented. It could have been prevented, even though there was an accident. One call to 911 probably could have changed this whole thing, my man.
Yeah, I think it would have, I mean, my daughter may not have been the same, but it still would have been my daughter here present, and she would have been with me and safe from that day on, It's something else.
How did you take care of the funeral expenses, Alec? Did she?
We did have a GoFundMe. I had a family member pay a large portion of it. So like the funeral home, all that is good. The only thing I have working on is the headstone, because I'm not going short and sweet with the headstone. So I have a sculptor working on it, and I'm trying to make it large and something noticed. So I have a down payment for it. I just don't know what we're looking at in the end.
Do you have a link to that GoFundMe still? Is it on your page?
No, it's been closed since we paid the funeral costs, and then the remaining money was given to me in a check, so that these individuals weren't allowed to access it for any sort of legal funds, knowing what was coming. And that's the portion that I have for the down payment on the headstone. Other than that, the funds have been closed.
You are right, Aaron. Will you set up a dad talk today? GoFundMe for Alec. I want everybody that can. I don't care if it's $1, $2, $3. We want to get Sophia the greatest headstone that we can get this little young girl, and we want to help you, man. I would ask you guys, please rally behind this. Let's get those signatures. Let's get that GoFundMe up, and we will make sure if you need it to go straight to the funeral home or whoever makes the headstone, we are going to try to help you, my man. And man, it's that we've got a beautiful community here. If you need some support, my number. You can call me anytime you want. I would highly suggest, find you a therapist and somebody to talk to, man, because these emotions, I wish I had better words for you, my man. Back in 2013, I lost my father. He had never been sick. All he had was a kidney stone. And he died. And that was hard enough to process in and of itself. But the next month, my daughter had been running a fever for like 2 months, and it wasn't going away. And they just kept saying she had an infection. Well, come to find out, like one day we took her to the hospital, and it's just like, we are not leaving until you find out what's going on. Her appendix had ruptured, and she was close to death. They told me that I was probably going to lose my little girl. She was 4 years old, about the same age as Sophie. And they had to life flight her to Atlanta because they didn't have the tools they needed to take care of her here. And I had to do that whole ride to Atlanta, which was like 2.5 hours away, thinking I was going to lose my little girl. So I know a little bit of what that feeling's like, but not to that extent, man. And I can't tell you enough. You need anything from Dad Talk today, anything from this community, you need to get signatures, you need help with that headstone. Well, we're here for you. We're here for you.
I really appreciate that. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my story on your platform.
And this,
Means a lot.
guys, it's not about a story. It's like I told you before, Alec, you're going to have every Tom, Dick, and Harry out there wanting to report on that because people are looking for stories like this. The honesty about this is if mainstream media actually cared, they'd be reporting these issues before stuff like what you just went through happens. And that is our mission over here, is to make sure that we can prevent stuff like this. So I want to thank you for your courage and bravery for even being able to come and talk, because they need to see this. They need to see what they're doing. And I mean, I can't help but think to myself, had you had your daughter again, this would have never happened, my man.
Yeah, runs through my head a lot.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys, thank you for tuning in again. I'll show it to you one more time. This is the petition right here. Proper justice for Sophia Larson. Please, please, let's get as many signatures on this as possible. Is the petition actually going to force them into doing something? No. I tell you what I honestly think the importance of this is right here is they need to see just how many people care and are following this issue so that proper justice is brought forth. And we as a community, if we can't support something like this in our brother that's going through this situation, I don't know what we're here for. I posted that link down in the comments. I know we've got several different watch parties going on right now, but let's get yes. So you can put that in the GoFundMe, Aaron. What we're going to do, we're going to try to set you up one under the Dad Talk banner, my man, and you find out how much that headstone is going to be. And I mean, you want to go big and elaborate, you find out what it is. We might not be able to raise it all, but I'll tell you this much. We're damn sure going to try. We're damn sure going to try.
I appreciate
Yes, sir.
that. I really do.
All right, guys. Let's get it out there. Hashtag justice for Sophia. Spread that link when that GoFundMe comes out. Any little thing that you can contribute, please do. And for you, Alec, man, keep your head up, brother. Keep your head up. I know it's hard, and I wish I had better words to tell you, my man, but we're going to try to make sure your little girl gets justice. That I'll promise you.
Thank you. I'm going to do my part. Thank
you
you very much for the opportunity.
And let's show him some support down there, guys. I mean, he needs your love and support. So I would ask, this is probably a trying time. So if you guys need something, just hit me up and we'll try to respond back and forth with Alec. So, all right, my man. I hope you have a good day, brother.
Thank you. You too.